Hello, my name is KITAMURA Yuuma, and I'll talk about the relationship between cat's tail movements and their emotions. Here is the outline. First, I'll explain why this theme is important. Then, I'll cover some related studies and methods of my research, and talk about the most common tail movements for three emotions: happy, angry, and curious cats. First, why should we understand cat's tail movements? Because it can help us understand their emotions by just looking at their tails, and that means we can build better relationships with them. Also, if their tail movements become unusual, we might notice early signs of health problems. So, understanding their tail movements is very important for caring for cats. Additionally, it provides a clue for other animals, like dogs. Now, related studies. Here are two images that show how cats' tail movements connect to their emotions. Both images describe similar tail movements and associate them with similar emotions. So, picking up important parts, these images say, happy cats have straight or hook-shaped tails, and angry cats have strongly moving or puffed tails, and curious cats have slowly moving or tip-moving tails. So I focused on happy, angry, and curious emotions, and checked what kind of tail movements cats actually do when they have these emotions. To understand people's impressions of cat tail movements, I conducted an interview and a questionnaire. I'm not going to talk about this deeply since it is difficult time-wise, but the important thing is that many people associate cats' strongly moving tails with happy, and others with uneasy, but a few people associate them with angry, while the two images I mentioned say they indicate angry. So I checked which is more accurate. Now, method of research. I watched a total of 36 videos about cats on YouTube, 12 videos for each emotion. Then I categorized their tail movements in 7 tail movements: straight, hook-shaped, strongly moving, puffed, slowly moving, tip moving, and not moving. If a cat displayed multiple movements, I classified them based on which movement was the most noticeable and lasted the longest. As a result, for the happy emotion, as it can be seen from the graph, hook-shaped, which is shown in the orange color, was the most common movement. Here is an example of a happy cat. So, if you see a cat whose tail looks like a question mark or hook-shaped, the cat is likely happy. For the angry emotion, strongly moving, which is shown in the red color, was the most common movement. Here is an example of an angry cat moving their tail intensely or strongly. So, if you see a cat moving their tail strongly, the cat is likely angry. Finally, for the curious emotion, the majority of the curious cats were moving their tails alone. Here's an example of a curious cat whose tail is not moving. So, if you see a cat that is looking at a point and not moving their tail, the cat is likely curious. To sum up these results, happy cats tend to have hook-shaped tails. Angry cats tend to have strongly moving tails, and curious cats tend to have not moving tails. And these results match the movements and the emotions described in the two images I have shown earlier, except for the curious cat not moving tails. So in the conclusion, the two images I have shown earlier probably describe some of cats' tail movements and their emotions appropriately, and cats must be expressing their emotions by their tails. But there are limitations for my research. For example, I have only watched 36 videos, so more data is needed for better accuracy. Also, it is I who decided the cat's emotions, like happy or angry, and their tail movements, like strongly moving or slowly moving. So, for further research, it is ideal that several people check their emotions and their tail movement. Even with its limitations, this research shows that understanding how cats move their tails can deepen our bond with cats and improve their care. Also, noticing unusual tail movements can help us identify if a cat is uncomfortable or has any health problems, which can improve their well-being. So, in the end, if you have cats or other animals that have tails, you should pay attention to their tails. Observing their tail movements can give a clue of what they might be feeling or thinking and lead to better relationships with them. These are references I used. Thank you for listening.